Hello everybody and welcome to the bonus video for UFC on ESPN Plus 19 that I promised I would do if yesterday's video got 300 likes, and we ended up absolutely smashing through that. We are now on 574 likes, which is insane. We blew past 300 likes in like a matter of hours. So I honestly, a lot of videos get like past 300 likes. A lot of them do, you know what I mean? There's a few here. But because I was putting out like on Friday, I thought, maybe I'll get 300, maybe I won't. I was hoping to just spend all day Saturday just sat in my pants, to be honest with you, eating FIFA and playing FIFA 20. My wife is in Ibiza at the wedding that I was supposed to be going to, but I can't actually go to shit like weddings anymore because obviously I live bet for a living on MMA, so I can't take weeks off. So yeah, I was planning on having a nice Saturday to myself. Pretty much all my research was wrapped up yesterday, and then everyone goes and smashes that like button hard, and here I am back with another video. So thank you boys for the support. I really appreciate it. Now, it's quite funny. I'm actually glad we're doing this live stream, right? Because it's going to give you a little insight into my world and why it is difficult to plan these videos out. So I also just want to say we are doing this on Twitch, live stream on Twitch. It will be uploaded later to YouTube. I currently am unable to live stream on YouTube. They have shut down my ability to live stream. I will leave a link in the description below which goes into that in a bit more detail. So I'm very sorry if you are watching this video super late on YouTube. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. The reason why this is late is sometimes the YouTube servers just get really full. For example, yesterday it took like 5 or 6 hours to upload the HD version of that video. I planned to get it out on Friday afternoon, but YouTube just took fucking forever to upload it. And in between recording that video, uploading and planning it out, that was like a 9 or 10 hour process. So I'm doing this video on live stream on Twitch because I can still live stream there, and the video once recorded on Twitch does go into like my videos tab. So if you're watching this super late, in future, always go to twitch.tv/Diary of a Pro Gambler first, and you'll be able to watch videos way before they hit YouTube, just because sometimes the YouTube servers get full, and like I say, they take way too long to upload. But just to give you guys an idea of why it is so hard for me to plan content for you guys, let me just show you a little something right now. So pretty much all my research for UFC on ESPN Plus 19 was wrapped up yesterday. I was well ahead of schedule because, like I say, my wife's in Ibiza, which means, I don't have to do all the family stuff like spending time with her and stuff. You know what I mean? I could just fucking focus on watching fights, researching fights, and I'm way ahead of schedule on my research this week, which is kind of crazy because this is a massive event, you know what I mean? There's like 14 fights on this card instead of the usual 11 and 12, and I'm still ahead of schedule. But last night, I thought all my research was done, and then I've woken up this afternoon, because I always wake up late into the afternoon so that I can stay up super late, and I'm fresh for live betting, because obviously live betting, the UFC fights run into like 6 a.m. Sunday morning in the UK. The event doesn't start until 10 p.m. over here. And I woke up thinking, I'll have a nice easy Saturday, I'll bang out a little video, do you know what I mean, and then spend a good few hours playing FIFA, eating pizza. But there has been a lot of line movement on this card, and this is why it's very difficult for me to plan content out, because some Saturdays I'll think I'm ahead of schedule and I'll just wake up to loads more work, basically, because the odds have moved, and obviously when the odds move, that completely changes the way we need to look at these fights. So if you look at these fights now, the odds have improved drastically on Swanson, the odds have improved a bit on Vic. The odds have not really moved there. The odds have dramatically improved on Eric Anders. The odds have dramatically improved on Devin Clark. The odds have dramatically improved on Max Griffin. The odds have dramatically improved, or they did improve. The odds are all over the place. Literally, when I hit record 10 minutes ago, Davison Figueiredo was 1.60 across the board. He's now back down to 1.57. There's just lots of line movement, which means I don't want to spend long on this video because I don't know what I'm doing at the moment, boys, right? So, at the moment, the only bet I have on this card is Cub Swanson, but there's line movement on a lot of the fights that I'm interested in. Like I just said, Figueiredo was 1.60 before I started this video. A lot of guys have had the odds improve on him, so I don't know what I'm going to do. You've caught me in a bit of a tiz because I've got to do this video to thank everyone for the likes yesterday. But at the moment, I'm very, very unsure as to what I'm going to be doing tonight. So what I need to do is smash this video out quickly. Then I need to go and take another look at some of these fights because some of the odds movement here is insane. And I really need to take another dive into and research them for a second time. So what we're going to do in this video, boys, I'm going to talk really fast. I'm going to smash this out quickly. Let's try and get this done within an hour. And then that'll give me a good 2 or 3 hours then to make my final decision on these fights where we've seen so much odds movement. So what I am going to do is we will go through the 4 fights that I haven't covered yet. We will go through them in a lot of depth, and I haven't planned anything out to say for these, so this video probably will be a little bit ropier than usual. And then I really need to go away and take a second look at some of these fights, like Devin Clark, up to 2.45. I can't give you a strong opinion on the fights where the odds have moved a lot, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. I need to research them again. I need to take a little bit of a dive into them again just to refresh my memory, reassess the situation at these new odds. So this is going to be a shitty, chaotic video full of uncertainty and faff because I'm in the fire at the moment. This is my Saturday. This is a busy Saturday. And the odds movement definitely makes me look at some of these fights very differently. Remember, I always say to let the odds do the work for you. And yeah, things are changing. Things are changing with the way these odds have moved. So, right, let's get into the first fight then. As ever, leave your questions in the live chat on Twitch, and I will answer them as we go. And I will try and be a bit more brief than usual, because like I say, we need to smash through this video quickly today. So, Michelle Waterson against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And bear in mind, I'm going to be missing loads of stuff out because we want to make this quick. So I'm just going to focus on the important stuff. I've seen a lot of people this week, thinking about Michelle Waterson as a potential bet. She is a big underdog. Female fighters do tend to be a lot more inconsistent than male fighters. But I really don't see a path to victory for Michelle Waterson here. For me, this is a checkmate matchup. She doesn't really have any offensive wrestling, and we know that Joanna Jędrzejczyk's takedown defense is absolutely bulletproof. When it comes to striking, her striking's all really kicks-based. Flashy turning side kicks and spinning back kicks and all these kind of weird spinning karate techniques, which aren't really going to be that effective against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Her boxing's too good. So I just think that Joanna just cruises to a win here. I think it's a very comfortable fight for her. I don't really give Waterson much of a chance of winning at all, so I really, really wouldn't recommend betting on Michelle Waterson here. If you want to go dog chasing, if you want to hunt for some underdogs, there are much better underdogs to chase this weekend. So, for example, Cub Swanson's a much better underdog. Devin Clark is a much better underdog. Andre Ewell's a much better underdog. Hector Aldana is a much better underdog. I'd even say Andrew Sanchez is a better underdog at these odds. And so is Laura Mueller. So, if you want to go dog chasing, I don't think Waterson is the dog that you want to back here. But again, if we look at the odds on Joanna Jędrzejczyk, currently carries an implied probability of 77%, which means if you want to bet her, you have to give her at least an 83% chance of winning, which is kind of fair, I guess. It really is kind of fair. I don't give Waterson much of a chance of winning this at all, but bear in mind, I am firmly of the belief that there is no smoke without fire. And obviously there's been a lot of rumours surrounding Joanna Jędrzejczyk's weight cut for this fight and her preparation for this fight, and I do believe that there's no smoke without fire. So yes, if we look at the weigh-ins here, in my opinion, Joanna did look great. I believe she looked better than she usually does when she weighs in at strawweight. I do believe this is the healthiest she's looked weighing in at strawweight for quite a long time, which is interesting considering, there were rumours that she was having big problems with her weight cut for this fight, but she looks healthier than usual here. Usually she looks very, very dehydrated. She looks like a skeleton. Doesn't look as bad here. Obviously still a little bit sucked in, but nowhere near as bad as usual. Muscular, healthy, looking pretty good. And if we get the stare down as well, you can see she's also got a pretty big size advantage over Michelle Waterson. Can we get that up? Where is that video going to be? I think it's here. Before Ian Jacek does the Boogie Woman thing where she goes down there, we can briefly see it there. You know, Joanna Jacek also much bigger than Michelle Waterson here. There's just a bigger, more physically imposing woman. So, yeah, do think that this is a very good fight for Joanna Jacek. I wouldn't touch Waterson here. Jacek should win easily. So, next fight, let us get into Luis Pena against Matt Frevola. So, yesterday I was saying in the video that there was a couple of fights that I wasn't going to talk about in yesterday's video because there was one fighter that I really wanted to bet and I didn't want to give my opinion because the odds were just short of where I needed them to be, and I was hoping that today they would improve and then I would be able to bet them and make money. Unfortunately, the odds have moved on so many fighters that they shouldn't have. I mean, the odds on Cub at the moment are absolutely ridiculous. When I put the bet out for Cub on Monday, I shared it with my members. I thought that his odds were going to get absolutely smashed and that he'd end up as the favourite. To see him at 2.72, which is plus 170, it's fucking hilarious. Like, it's hilarious. God knows who is betting Crone, but I will actually say Crone Gracie is in the top 3 worst bets of the year. To see Swanson at these odds is quite hilarious to me. But we saw last week with Adesanya versus Whittaker, right? Some people just don't understand fighting. And these odds are a perfect example of that. But, you know, on a day where we've seen odds move in crazy ways, like, you know, Eric Anders, you know, Devin Clark, Max Griffin, on a day when we've seen odds move in some crazy ways, unfortunately the guy that I really wanted to bet hasn't seen that much line movement, and Pena was the guy that I wanted to bet. As you can see, he's around about an average of 1.59 odds on most sites, which give him an implied probability of 63%, and I wanted better odds than that. I mean, I wanted better odds. I did want better odds, and it doesn't look like we're going to get it. But obviously, we are seeing crazy odds movement on this fight. I'm trying to wrap this live stream up quickly, get this video out quickly, because some of these odds, the odds movement's getting crazy. The way I see this fight is Pena basically has an advantage almost everywhere. Significantly better striker. But he's one of these weird guys that he is a very strong grappler, but he's got very poor takedown defense. So one thing that does concern me about this fight is Matt Frevola's got decent offensive wrestling. And if we quickly check his Instagram, and again, I am sorry guys, these breakdowns are completely shit compared to usual, but it's a busy day, boys, with all this line movement. We got to be focusing on the way these odds are moving. We can't miss any opportunities to make money. I think he's called Steamroller or something. Is this him? I had his Instagram profile this week, so I know it exists. Is this it? No. I know it exists, boys, because I've been on it. No, it's not that one either. What is going on here? What is going on? Why can't we find this profile? Has he been suspended in like the last 24 hours? He must have been suspended, boys. Because I've been on his profile this week, and there was a specific picture that I wanted to show you. Oh no, here he is. Okay, so Matt Frevola, if you look at his past fights in the UFC, he was looking a little bit soft, wasn't in the best shape, but as you can see, this training picture from 2 days ago, he looks in much better shape, looks in the best shape of his career. So Luis Pena is a very, very strong submission grappler, but he does have bad takedown defense. He's quite weak off his back. Matt Frevola has strong offensive wrestling, not that heavy from top position, but he can get takedowns and beat guys up from top position, although Luis Pena is quite good at creating scrambles to work his way back to his feet. So 2 days ago, Frevola was looking in absolutely fantastic shape, which is one of the reasons why you've got to pump the brakes and be a little bit concerned about, betting Luis Pena as a favourite. Here we can see, just looks in much better shape than usual. The fact also that he's got strong wrestling and Luis Pena doesn't have very good takedown defence means there's red flags there. Look, I'm going to sum this up by saying Pena should win this. Significantly better striker, dangerous submission grappler, but he is one of these abnormally tall guys for the division that does give up easy takedowns. And at the end of the day, Matt Frevola is a strong offensive wrestler, good double leg takedown, and he looks to be in the best shape of his career. I mean, even in this picture, you can see him looking quite soft compared to the pictures of him in his recent training camp where he looks in great shape. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, this is only going to be Frevola's 4th fight in the UFC. I believe he took this fight on short notice as well. In fact, I believe he fought Lando Venata on short notice as well. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very possible he could have made significant improvements from his last 3 fights and caused Pena problems, but I do expect Pena to win. Now, let's go into the next fight that I want to talk about in today's video, which is going to be Mike Davis against Thomas Gifford. Now, straight out the gate, it is very unusual to see a guy taking a fight on literally 3 or 4 days' notice as such a big favourite. Davis only accepted this fight on Tuesday, I believe. He's currently a 1.33 favourite, which is minus 303 for an implied probability of 75%. Technically and stylistically, this is a very easy matchup for him. Thomas Gifford is, I don't even know what he is really. I mean, I'm guessing he's primarily a grappler because he likes to go to his back and roll for loads of crazy submissions, long shot submissions that he's never going to get. But standing up, he's scrappy, but he's got very, very bad striking defense. And even though he's primarily a grappler, struggles to take guys down, doesn't have the best offensive wrestling. Mike Davis has got excellent takedown defense, excellent technical striking. He's a great kickboxer. He spent time training at Tiger Muay Thai. This is an easy fight for Mike Davis. If it stays standing, he should light Thomas Gifford up like a Christmas tree. And I don't expect this fight to go to the ground because Gifford doesn't have the offensive wrestling to get it there. And Davis never shoots for takedowns. He's just a pure kickboxer. So this is an easy fight for Davis, but it's very, very dumb to bet on a guy taking a fight on just 3-4 days notice when they are this big of a favourite. So can't touch Davis here, but it is an easy fight for him. The odds are warranted. We now go into let me just see if there's any questions here, boys. Let's just smash through the questions very quickly. Lee Dosis has asked, are you considering any more bets? Yes, I am considering tons of bets, mate, which is why I'm trying to smash through this video as quickly as possible. This odds movement just means we've got a lot more decisions to make now, tougher decisions to make with the way these odds are moving. So yeah, definitely considering some more bets, but I don't know what I'm going to go for yet. Ghostface Killers asked, what are the bets I'm considering? So the bets I'm considering are still Pena. Pena's a tough one for me. I really, really want to bet him. I do really want to bet Pena, but I can't get out of my head that he does have bad takedown defense and Frevola's a strong wrestler. Now, Frevola doesn't have particularly the heaviest top game. And Pena's very good at creating scrambles to work his way back to his feet. But if you go and watch Pena's fights against... Let's take a look and see who it is. If you go and watch Pena's fights against Mike Trizano in particular and Steven Peterson, you'll see he's quite weak on his back. I don't love it. I don't love the odds. Eric Anders, another one I'm considering. Devin Clark's another one I'm considering. Max Griffin's another one I'm considering. Figueiredo's another one I'm considering. Andre Ewell's another one I'm considering. And that's about it. So I got some work to do as soon as this gets finished up. Nice one, Multi. Thanks a lot, mate. Lasuvari has said, bro, he has good takedown. Don't worry, guys. Everyday grappler with Khabib and co. It's true, Savari, but he was training with Khabib and co when he fought Mike Trezano and Steven Peterson as well and looked like shit. So it doesn't matter who you're training with. I saw one guy say, oh, you know, Kron Gracie's training with Nate and Nick Diaz. You know, he's amazing, blah, blah, blah. What about Chris Avila? Chris Avila has been training with the Diaz brothers for like 10 years. You've probably never even heard of Chris Avila if you left a dumb comment like that. And training with the Diaz brothers has never helped Chris Avila. So that means nothing to me, the Pena trains with Khabib. Cyfix, I hate parlays, mate. I just don't like parlays. I do think that's a bad idea. Tiny Danzer has said, Joanna and Dern both look great at the weigh-ins. I agree, man. They both look better than usual, for sure. So, right, let's do this next fight then. We are going to do JJ Aldrich against Lauren Mueller. So, I actually thought, before I was researching this fight, or before I started researching this fight, I thought JJ Aldrich might have been a decent bet here. But that's mainly due to the fact that Lauren Mueller is at such a low level on the ground. Unfortunately, JJ Aldrich never shoots takedowns. If she does have decent grappling. If she did look to take this fight to the ground, it would probably be an easy night's work for her. Lauren Mueller doesn't have very good takedown defense and has a low-level ground game. But like I say, what difference does it make if Aldrich isn't going to try and take her to the ground, right? So I do expect this to be one of those close back and forth stand-up fights in women's MMA that ends up being very close and someone ends up winning a split decision. I do think it'll be very close if it stays standing. Problem is, on the ground, Aldrich has a huge advantage, which is why she deserves to be the favourite here. I've got no interest in betting this fight. I did think Aldrich would be a good bet. It's not the case. Can't ignore Mueller's weaknesses on the ground. She is very, very bad on the ground. And then we go into the final fight that we're going to talk about in today's video. And again, guys, sorry these breakdowns are nowhere near as good as usual, but we have got a lot to think about, boys, with the way these odds have moved today. I can't remember the last time I saw this much crazy odds movement on a UFC card. Usually you see like 1 or 2 fights with a lot of line movement, but literally we've seen like 4, 5 or 6 fights get crazy line movement in the last 24 hours. And that definitely presents some different decisions for us to make. Cub Swanson at 2.76. Like, for the odds to move like that, people have to be betting Kron Gracie at like 1.51, 1.52. Who in their right mind would bet Kron Gracie in this fight? Like, do you have eyes? Do you watch fighting? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what they say, boys? There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who get it, those who do not get it. If you bet Kron Gracie, you don't get it. You don't fucking get it. You just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know. You know what? When I place bets, you always have that doubt in your mind, right? You always have that doubt where it's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You always have that doubt in your mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something. But not with Cub Swanson. Like, I don't care if Cub loses tonight. I know I'm 100% right on this bet. Because it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to work out that Kron should never be the favourite here. Like, all you have to do is spend 20 minutes to go watch all his fights in Rising to see that he's shit. No stand-up, no clinch game, no wrestling, and he's not particularly good on the ground either when it comes to MMA grappling. I'm sure he's great in BJJ tournaments, but in MMA grappling, he's shit. And the odds just keep getting better on Swanson. It makes no sense. People have no eyes. 2.76. I will say this. More strong statements. It doesn't matter who wins this fight. It really doesn't. All that matters is what the odds are going into a fight. I will say this now. Win or lose, Cub Swanson is in the top 3 best bets of the year. Win or lose, Crone Gracie is in the top 3 worst bets of the year. In fact, I can't think of a worse bet than Crone Gracie this year. I literally can't think of a worse bet. At 1.50, I can't think of a worse bet. Like, he has no striking, no clinch game, no wrestling, and his ground game for MMA is utterly shit. Based on past fights. The only way Crone wins this is if he shows up having made significant improvements from his fights in Rising, which is very possible, but all the jabronis betting him as a favourite can't possibly know that, which is why it's such a bad bet. Crone Gracie, 1.48! 1.48. Which means, let me just tell you what that means. If you bet him down to 1.48 at odds in those ballparks, to gain any value, you've got to give Crone Gracie a 73% chance of winning. I don't care if you're Hickson Gracie. You've got to. I don't care if you're Hickson Gracie. When you look yourself in the mirror, you can't give Crone Gracie a 73% chance of winning. If I had a crystal ball which looked into the future and I actually saw the fight and I actually saw Crone Gracie submitting Cub Swanson tonight, I still couldn't cap him at 73%. I'd think the fucking crystal ball was broken, or it might have been a mistake, or it was showing me a fight for some alternate universe. You cannot cap this man at 73%. Stop it. Stop it. I don't care if he trains with the Diaz brothers. So does Chris Avila. I don't care. 73%. Sorry to rant, boys. It's fucking silly. It is fucking silly. The odds on Adesanya Whittaker last week was silly. But at the end of the day, Whittaker's dangerous. Whittaker's a great fighter. The odds were way off. But I think, two popular fighters, people don't really do research. I can understand why a lot of people would get it wrong and bet Whittaker. How could they get it so wrong with Crone? Because the only people that fuck up when they bet are casual gamblers that don't know much about the sport. So why are they betting Crone? No one's ever heard of Crone. All he's done is spend 3 minutes in the UFC. If you're a casual gambler, you don't even know who Crone is. He's only spent 3 minutes in the UFC. Who's betting him? Who is betting Crone Gracie? I want pictures, I want names, and I want addresses of people who are betting Crone Gracie. And I want to ask them, I just want to ask them why. This guy spent 3 minutes in the UFC. He submitted a guy with no takedown defense and no ground game. Yeah, if you look at Caceres' record, let's be real. Not the best. Submission loss. Submission loss. Submission loss. Submission loss. Submission loss. Not a great achievement taking Alex Caceres down and submitting him. Why are you the favourite? I don't understand. I just want to know why. I just want to know why. That's all, boys. I just want to know why. I don't get it. I don't get it. Crone Gracie, I'm going to say it right now. Fuck it. Forget sitting on the fence. I will say it right now. Crone Gracie is the worst bet of the year. Yeah, I've said it. He's the worst. Run a mile from anyone. Run a mile from anyone that thinks Crone Gracie's a good bet. I just don't get it. I don't get it. There are certain ways how people fuck up when they bet. First thing they do is wiki cap. Well, you can't bet Crone because of wiki capping, because his MMA record looks like total shit. 40% of his wins have come against guys making their pro debut. His only win in the UFC is a submission over a guy with no takedown defense, no submission defense, no ground game. He beat a 40-year-old Kawajiri and a guy with a 33-28 record. So wiki cappers can't possibly be fucking up, because Chrome Gracie's record looks like shit. I mean, I know Cub Swanson is coming in to fight on a 4-fight losing streak, but motherfucker, please. What do you think would happen if Chrome Gracie fought any of these guys? I guarantee he wouldn't be going to a split decision with Burgos. Burgos would punch a hole in his face. Edgar would ragdoll him. Renato Moicano would play the role of Matador and box his face off. Brian Ortega would probably take him down and submit him based on Chrome's ground game that he displayed in Rising. So wiki cappers aren't betting him. The second reason why people bet guys is because they say, or bet against guys like with Israel, Whittaker's going to win because Adesanya's all hype. He hasn't fought anyone. Well, you can't fucking bet Chrome based on that, because Cub isn't all hype. He's had almost 40 pro fights. He's fought fucking everyone and done pretty damn good for the majority of his career. I don't get why you would bet Chrome. I just don't. He's the worst bet of the year. Worst bet of the year. By a mile. And Cub Swanson's the best bet. No, maybe not the best bet. Czech Congo to beat Vitaly Minikov at like 5.0 or whatever it was. That was a pretty good bet. Masvidal as an underdog to Ben Askren was a pretty good bet. So I'm not going to say Cub Swanson's the best bet of the year, but he's up there. Chrome's definitely the worst though. Enough. Let's get on to the final fight, because we got some more fights to talk about, right? Andrew Sanchez against Marvin Vettori. Well, I tell you what, boys. I'm just going to save you some time. If you go to my website, MMABettingTips.com, and search for Vettori, rather than me just giving you some bullshit breakdown, I actually bet Vettori when he was originally scheduled to fight. Who was he originally? What event was it? Let's just find out. It was originally on UFC on ESPN plus 16, which was Cowboy versus Gaethje. So just come to my website, MMABettingTips.com, search for Vettori in the search engine, click into this betting tips article for UFC on ESPN plus 16, and if you scroll here, you will see a very, very nice breakdown for the fight between Vettori and Andrew Sanchez. I was planning on betting Vettori when his odds were 1.44. Unfortunately, the fight got cancelled. It was going to be a very big bet. The fight got cancelled. His odds got absolutely steamed by the time they reopened. So now I'm not betting Vettori, because at odds of around, 1.29 last time I looked, minus 345. That's an implied probability of 78%. Completely different to betting on a guy at 1.44 with an implied probability of 69%. So I'm passing on Vettori now. I won't break that down in this video, but if you want to find out how I think the fight's going to play out, come to our website and read it. And I will actually leave a link to this article in the description below. So what I am going to do is I'm going to scan through any questions we've got, and then that's it, boys. I'm going to go off and I'm going to take a second look at some of these fights where the odds have moved. So let's just scan through and let me know if you've got any questions, and we will get it answered, and then that'll be it for today, boys. But what I'm going to do, the old scratch my back, scratch your back thing, right? This video has been shit. I am well aware that this video has been completely shit, and I'm very sorry, and it's not really the full kind of breakdown video that I promised you guys. I had planned to put out a really high quality breakdown video on these remaining 4 fights, but because of all this odds movement, I need to get into these fights now. I need to go and take a look at them. So what I'm gonna do is, my wife's in Ibiza at the moment. Usually Sundays are family days. Sunday's the only day off of the week that I get. So tomorrow I will put out the first breakdown video for next week's event, which is UFC on ESPN 6, Reyes versus Weidman. I will put a video out for this tomorrow to say thank you for everyone that liked the video last night, because I understand that this is a shitty video, this is a subpar product, it's not the usual quality that you get from me. So I'll put out the first video for UFC on ESPN 6 tomorrow. Usually I wouldn't be able to put a video out on a Sunday because it's family day. It's my only day off for the week. But my missus is in Ibiza, so I'll have enough free time to research 3 or 4 of these fights tomorrow and get a video out for you tomorrow. So this has been a shit video, boys, but to say thank you for all those likes, we'll jump into UFC on ESPN 6 tomorrow. And what we will do now, I'll smash through any questions you've got, boys, and then that is going to be it for this video. Let's see what we have got. Paul Hardy 21 has said, I saw a tipster on YouTube who tipped Crone and Waterson. What I will say right now, I don't know who that guy is, but if someone tipped Crone or Waterson, either of them, it doesn't matter which one, they're both terrible bets. If they are tipping Crone and Waterson, never, ever, ever, ever consume their content again. They don't make money from gambling. I can guarantee you they don't make money from gambling. If you think Crone is a good bet, I will say this. Nobody that is betting Crone this weekend is making money long-term betting on MMA. No one. No exceptions. Nobody. Absolutely no one that is betting Crone will be making money long-term because he is the worst bet of the year. If you can find any reason to bet Crone this weekend, you are terrible. You don't know what you're doing. You have absolutely no idea how to make money betting on MMA. It is the worst bet of the year. It is literally like, trying to think of an example of how bad it is. It would be like, I can't think of an example bad enough. I can't think of an example bad enough. It's very bad. Very, very bad. It's just a terrible, terrible bet. Hard for me to put into words. It actually depresses me that there are people out there that are betting Crone Gracie because I like money. I really do. There are 2 things that I could share with you that I have 100% in my heart. I love money. I hate bookies. If you want to see why I hate bookies so much, go to my YouTube channel. Alright? And watch this video here. Do you want to be a professional gambler? Watch this video to understand why I hate bookies so much. If you watch that, you'll understand why I love money and hate bookies. And it upsets me that people bet Crone Gracie. Because you are giving your money to the bookies if you do that. Like, Crone might win tonight. Like, anything can happen in MMA. Crone could definitely win. But if you do place a bet like that one time, you're going to basically place tons of shit bets over the long term. Because if your brain is that broken, if you really don't get the sport of betting on MMA that bad, you're going to hand loads of your hard-earned money over to the bookies and give the bookies money. I don't want you to give them money. I want you to keep the money for yourself. Enjoy it, man. Those bookies are scumbags. Keep money for yourself by not placing shit bets. If you bet Crone Gracie, it's the worst bet of the year by a mile. Can't think of anyone worse. And another interesting thing, Turning Screws has just reminded me of something. So Cub Swanson actually said he fought Crone Gracie in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament a few years ago. And Cub Swanson said that he actually beat Crone Gracie in the BJJ match. And the judges robbed him and basically scored the fight in favour of Crone by 1 point, but they went the distance. So it's like, even if it goes to the ground, Crone's not necessarily going to do that great. I mean, on the ground in his Rising fights, he looked shit. He looked absolutely shit. Completely shit. Appleman999 has asked, where do you cap Crone? It's tough, man, because when I see a guy like Cub Swanson, right? So there are so I've got certain red flags, right? Where when I see certain things, I won't bet on a fighter. So for example, like if they have a tough weight cut, you pass. If they've been out for a long period of time, you just pass. If they suffered a really bad KO or took tons of damage in their last fight, I pass, because it can affect their confidence, take them a while to get back on the horse. Sometimes they never get back on the horse, which is why I'm interested to see James Vick tonight. There are all these red flags, right? And Swanson has demonstrated a few of these red flags. So a few of the red flags are he is looking old. He is talking a lot about money and being motivated by money, which is another red flag. He's also opened up his own gym, which is another red flag. And he's talked about retirement, which is another red flag. Whenever a fighter mentions retirement, it's a huge red flag. Normally, with those amount of red flags, I would pass on a fighter. But Crone is so bad. He looked so bad in Rising. Like, if Crone shows up looking like he did in Rising, he is going to get murked bad. Like, no question. Like, bad. But I've seen so much shit over the last 10 years, and I know that when fighters start talking about retirement, crazy things can happen. Crazy things can happen. So I wouldn't put it past Swanson doing what a lot of MMA fighters do, acting like the moth, being attracted to the bug zapper. I mean, we saw it with Amadovsky a few weeks ago when he fought John Phillips. Literally, the only way Amadovsky could have lost that fight was if he got sucked into basically a rock'em sock'em robot, knockdown, drag out, Wild West, slinging shootout against Phillips. That was the only way he could lose. What happens 20 seconds into the fight? That's exactly what he does. Fighters, for whatever reason, a lot of the time, they are like moths getting attracted to the bug zapper. So, in terms of where I cap Crone, if both guys show up and perform to their full potential, I give Crone like less than 10% chance of winning, because of how bad he looked in Rising. But it's tough to accurately cap this fight because we don't know how motivated Swanson is, how he's going to show up and perform, and we don't know how much Crone's improved since the Rising fight. I know this is at least 50-50, but we don't really know what we're getting from both guys. So it's tough to cap Crone where he's at. You know, if he shows up fighting like he did in Rising, like I say, less than 10% chance of winning, but difficult to know how much he's improved in the last 3 years. What I would say is I do expect Cub to be very motivated. At the end of the day, even if he doesn't want to fight in the UFC anymore, he said that he wants to carry on fighting till he's almost 40 because he wants to make money. He wants his children to see him fight. He wants to continue fighting and earning money for his family. So he must know that there's no shame in losing to these guys, which is why the UFC's kept him around. But if he loses to Crone Gracie, he's probably going to get released from the UFC. So he knows he has to win, right? Because at the end of the day, Cub Swanson is a big name. But if you do get released from the UFC after losing this fight, your negotiating power when you go to like PFL or Bellator or Rising or any of these other promotions is going to be significantly diminished. If Cub Swanson loses this fight, ultimately, whichever promotion he fights in next, it's going to cost him a lot of money in his contract negotiations. So he has to win. And for that reason, I think he will perform well tonight. I really do. Because at the end of the day, he wants to continue fighting. He wants to continue earning money. And if he is motivated by money, usually that would be a red flag because their heart's not in it anymore. But at the end of the day, he's still got the skills to smoke Crone. And he knows that he'll hit his wallet hard if he doesn't win this fight. As well, boys, I see Appleman taking a lot of shit in the live chat. Why is everyone being mean to Appleman? Yes, Appleman was a complete dickhead when he was on my website, but he's been pretty cool in the live chat, and everyone's picking on him, man. Everyone deserves a second chance. What is going on? Appleman's been pretty cool on these live streams. Everyone's being mean to him, though. Everyone's talking about Kyle Anthony. I don't know who that is. I know John Anthony is a designer clothes store in Bristol, but I don't know anything about a Kyle Anthony. Ghostface Killer said, seems you're so confident in Cub, but you're not showing that in your bet. Why such a small bet? Just basically what I said a few minutes ago, mate. The way I look at a bet like this is, we made a lot of money on Adesanya last week. There's at least one rock solid bet coming up on next week's card. We don't know what version of Chrome we're going to get because we haven't really seen him fight for 3 years. We don't know what version of Swanson we're going to get because there's red flags with his motivation. So I just prefer to keep it small, take a solid payday, and move on to next week where we could bet on, fighters that their motivation's not in question. We know exactly what we're getting from him. It's like last week, right, with Adesanya. I capped Adesanya at like 70 to 80% because we knew exactly how he was going to show up and perform. He's always performed. He's ruthlessly consistent, skilled in all areas. His motivation's never going to be in question. I've lost count over the last 10 years of the amount of times a guy has such an easy stylistic matchup and he's completely imploded just because he doesn't want to be in there anymore, and that's my main concern with Cub. So I never go too big on a fighter who's talked about retirement, because at the end of the day, Cub Swanson might be turning up tonight thinking, I'm just going to take a payday and then ride off into the sunset and retire. Never listen to what fighters say in interviews. Just because Cub this week said he wants to fight into his 40s, just because he said, he still wants lots of fights, never trust them. Never ever trust them. Who was I listening to with a podcast yesterday? I was actually listening to a podcast of a fighter that I bet. I remember. Below the belt. Check this out, boys. So this interview here between Anthony Johnson and Brendan Schaub, right? This interview here, this is a wicked point for my point, right? So a few years ago, Anthony Johnson was a decent-sized underdog to Daniel Cormier in their second fight, I think. And I placed a small bet on Anthony Johnson because he was the underdog, basically. I can't remember what the odds were, but he was the underdog. And in that performance, Johnson just didn't show up. He completely imploded. He came out and literally tried to take Cormier down for 3 rounds and wrestle him. Like, it was a total flake job. Inconsistent, totally flaked out, totally imploded. Johnson tried to out-wrestle Cormier. He didn't want to be in there, you could see it. And it's so interesting because people always think that, it's like you bet on robots. Like, fighters always show up and perform the same. And that outcome that occurred is like the outcome that always would have happened. It's really black and white. Like, if Crone Gracie comes out and submits Cub tonight, Carl Anthony is going to fucking think he's the smartest guy in the world, when it doesn't change the fact that even if Crone wins, he's still the worst bet of the year. And Anthony Johnson, in this interview that was put out a couple of days ago on Below the Belt, said that for the whole training camp leading up to the Daniel Cormier fight, he knew that was going to be his last fight. He knew he was going to retire, and he knew he didn't want to fight anymore. So I bet Johnson, thinking he's going to go in and try and take DC's head off. Maybe he'll get a KO. Maybe he'll get taken down again and beaten up and submitted. But at underdog odds, it was a gamble I was willing to take because of how dangerous Rumble Johnson had looked. Happy to take him as a big underdog against almost anyone because the power he's got in his hands. And then he came out trying to wrestle DC. Worst game plan ever. Imploded. Didn't want to be in there. Literally, Johnson kind of admitted to just turning up for a paycheck and then retiring, sailing off into the sunset. So the point I'm trying to make is, it doesn't matter how big an advantage Cub has tonight. We know he's talked about retirement. We know he's got motivation issues. We know he's motivated by money. We know Chrome Gracie is going to show up and perform to the best of his ability. We know he's motivated. We know he wants to win. We know he wants to be the best MMA fighter he can be. And when you've got that dynamic, when you've got one guy with one foot out the door and one guy that is all in, it doesn't matter what the skill gap is. You know, heart and determination and drive can often trump a guy with one foot out the door. So that's why I'm only going small on Cub tonight. But at the same time, the technical and stylistic advantages the Cub has got should make this an absolute cakewalk for him tonight. But this example with Anthony Johnson, watch this interview with him on Below the Belt. It's a really cool video. I will leave a link to that in the description below if you're watching after the fact on YouTube. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's a good interview, and it just goes to show why you can never fully trust fighters to show up and perform their full potential, because on any given night, they might just not want to fight anymore, and it's very difficult to predict when that will happen. The Saint 1992 has asked, do you have a favourite prop bet for tonight? I think my favourite prop bet for tonight is probably going to be Marvin Vettori to win in round 3 at odds of 13.25. I do like that one just because Vettori gets better as the fight goes on. As we know, Sanchez has got bad cardio. He slows down as the fight goes on. And we also know there's a bit of bad blood in this fight, so Vettori might be looking to take him out. So that is my favourite prop. Chris61990, what is your opinion on Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie? I don't really want to talk about that fight, dude. Just the same reason why I don't want to talk about the Masvidal Diaz fight, because I don't want to influence the odds. I will be betting the Kevin Lee versus Gregor Gillespie fight in a big way, and if I say on this video that I lean one way or the other, didn't even know odds were out, but if I lean one way or the other, and 3,000-4,000 people watch this video, it could have an impact on the odds when liquidity is still low. But I am pretty sure I'll have a big bet on the Lee versus Gillespie fight. Lee Doses123 has said, how do you prevent yourself from over-analysing fights? How do you find the right median between too little and too much research? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm still learning. I don't know. Maybe I do too much now. I know it's definitely not too little, because I literally don't have any time to do any more, but maybe I overanalyze things a bit at the moment. I'm not too sure, man, but you always try and improve, you know what I mean? Cyfix has said it would be awesome if you'd like to watch an event in the stream sometime. That would be difficult for me, man, because I always do alternate commentary for my elite members for live betting, but you never know what might happen in the future. Maybe we can do it for like a PFL or something instead. That would be pretty cool. Nem86850, what would be your safest bet for tonight if you could pick? I think it is Swanson, dude. I think it is Swanson, mate. I don't know. It's a tough question to ask, right? Because if you ask me what the safest bet is, and I say Vettori or Joanna and Jacek, that is probably the safest bet. But the odds are just shit. I don't know what to say. I literally have no words. 1.45. I literally have no words. Madness. Absolute madness. For Gracie's odds to move like that, it means people have bet him from 1.50 down. Don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. The implied probability of 2.80. The odds of 2.80 give an implied probability of 36%. Don't get it. I don't get it, boys. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's fucking mad. It's fucking mad, boys. Crazy. Appleman, yes, I have researched Bellator fully, mate, but I won't be live betting it because it clashes with the UFC start time. So the UFC broadcast on Fight Pass is supposed to go live at 10 PM. So's Bellator on Channel 5. So I'll be giving Bellator live betting a miss tonight. Tiny Danza has asked, what fight are you most looking forward to watching with betting aside? I would say... I would say Gracie versus Swanson is up there just because I want to see what happens, man. I want to see what happens. I want to see if it's possible that Swanson could lose. Because I know I'm not wrong on this fight. There's no way I'm wrong. There's no way Swanson should only have a 36% implied probability here. So I want to see how Gracie looks. I want to see him justify. I want to see Gracie justify having a 69% implied probability. I really want to see that. I want to see that. And I'm also interested in Sanchez versus Vettori because there's a lot of spice there. There's a lot of bad blood in that fight. So those two are interesting. Rectum Inspectum has said, I feel like Cub has to finish Kron or absolutely dominate him to win. Kron will always win a decision, I feel like. I couldn't disagree with you more, mate. It's hard for me to put into words how wrong I think you are. Ghostface Killers has said that the UFC was set up as a platform for the Gracies, so you can see the attraction for the casuals. Honestly, mate, I can't. Because the UFC got so many more fans after McGregor and Ronda Rousey that would never have heard of the Gracies. I mean, no one's talked about the Gracies since Royce Gracie fought Matt Hughes fucking 10 years ago. So, I just don't know. I don't know, boys. That is it, though. That is going to be it for this video. Almost exactly an hour long. If you liked the video, please hit the like button below. I know it wasn't a very good one, but it's a hectic Saturday with all this line movement, and now I'm very, very tempted to add more money to Cub as well. 2.80 is it's ridiculous. So yeah, I will put out the first video for UFC on ESPN 6 tomorrow as a thank you to everyone that hit that like button on last night's video. I really, really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And I know this video wasn't very good, so that's why I'm going to come through for you boys and do that tomorrow. But nice one, everyone, for watching this. I'm going to go upload this now on YouTube. Take care, everyone. I hope you all crush it. And I will be back tomorrow, which is Sunday, with another video. Take care, everyone. Hope you have a great night.